Trump is in big trouble right now. Time is passing quickly and the Iranian regime is desperate and resilient, and to this day it still controls every level of this war. But despite that, there are some exciting developments. The reality of this war is becoming clear. European countries are appearing, saying they are ready to join this war, and other countries are announcing their support for Iran. Could this conflict escalate into a world war in the region? We have some very important details today. Stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings, and welcome to our new episode today, God willing. In this episode of the Opinion series, we will review the latest developments in this war on Iran, along with evaluating some remarks about important points in this war. So today, dear viewers, we can say that the biggest beneficiary of this war on Iran is China. Why do I say this? This war has dragged on longer and longer as America has exhausted more of its military capabilities, such as missiles, ammunition, and so on. Therefore, any missile that America loses today in this war is one less missile in the American strategic stockpile, which China is crossing off the list. America will definitely need these missiles when the bigger global conflict starts, or when China begins its invasion of Taiwan. The American newspaper, The Wall Street Journal, said, according to sources familiar with this military operation, that up until now, America and Israel together have struck 2,000 targets inside Iran. So if we make the lowest possible estimate today, which is that each target was hit with just one missile, knowing that there are targets, as they officially admitted, that required more. Some targets were hit with 20 or 30 missiles, but we will consider the lowest possible number, which is one missile for each strike. This means we're talking about 2,000 missiles. That's how China thinks, 2,000 missiles. We can say that 1,000 of them were American missiles that were depleted in this battle, meaning China got rid of that part of the American stockpile. That's one aspect. We're not just talking about missiles and munitions, but also about various other very important military capabilities. For example, just today, 3 American F-15 fighter jets were shot down in Kuwait. This means that China has gotten rid of these aircraft. And pay close attention, we're only talking about what America has officially acknowledged. What is hidden is even greater. The videos of these 3 planes going down were leaked. I think if it weren't for that, America wouldn't have admitted it, because in wars, America always follows a certain policy as part of psychological and media warfare. The policy of hiding damages and losses. They usually only admit to the real losses after 20, 30, or even 50 years in some cases. Speaking of that, the American President Trump made a statement today in which he unintentionally revealed that there were fatalities among the British Army. Because today, Trump revealed that Britain has finally allowed America to use the Diego Garcia base in this war against Iran, the base that is located in Mauritius. He said, "I would agree with this decision, from the beginning, because Iran is responsible for the killing of British citizens, so pay close attention." A statement from the President of America means that there were British soldiers who were killed in this war, even though Britain has not admitted it up until now. There hasn't been any news about this at all up to this moment. We don't know where they were killed. Was it at the naval base in Bahrain that was completely destroyed? Or in Oman? Or at Al Udeid base in Qatar? Or somewhere else? And for sure, I think it was on the Greek island of Cyprus, which was also attacked by Iran. So there's always a lot of secrecy about the casualties. What Iran is doing has definitely caused very heavy human losses among the American military. It doesn't make sense that all these Iranian conflicts are causing all this destruction in American military bases in the region, with pictures and evidence. And all these drones that struck hotels and the soldiers' residences in the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and so on. And in the end, they say 3 Americans were killed, and they say 18 were injured. I think today they said 18 American soldiers were wounded. What's certain is that America covers up such news so as not to give the Iranians a sense of euphoria and victory, and also to avoid stirring strong opposition within the US. In plain terms, so that Trump doesn't give ammunition to his opponents inside the US Congress. Iran officially stated that, up to this moment, the number of deaths and injuries among the US military has reached more than 500 American soldiers. This is not to mention, of course, the ships and aircraft carriers that were hit by ballistic missiles. No one knows up to this moment whether there are serious injuries or not. And also not to mention the American military bases in the region that were completely destroyed. With radars, they were very important, and China considers all of them significant victories for itself. They were strategic assets that America used to threaten China, but now it has lost them. And every time America lost an aircraft and it went out of service, China would have produced one and put it into service. So pay attention to this difference. The same goes for missiles, ammunition, and so on. China is the biggest beneficiary of this war today. Another thing to notice in this war is that it is expanding almost every day or every hour in a very dangerous way. We have witnessed the entry of Hezbollah and the return of war in Lebanon. This was expected. We have seen statements from Macron, who said clearly that France is ready for military intervention against Iran. This was also perhaps expected, and I will explain to you why. But the most dangerous development in all of this is the attack that targeted British military bases in Cyprus. Cyprus said that Iranian drones of the Shahed type attacked these British military bases in Cyprus. This means that things are escalating today. If we look at the map, we will see that these drones managed to bypass dozens of defense systems in the countries of the region until they reached Cyprus. This is really strange, but Britain said that despite this, it will not be drawn into this conflict and that it will evacuate its soldiers from this military base. Meanwhile, Greece, which is the main link to southern Cyprus, known as Greek Cyprus, said it will send 2 frigates and 2 F-16 fighter jets to defend Cyprus. That is to strengthen Cyprus's air defense systems. Pay close attention, we are quickly approaching a very large global conflict that could start at any moment. Because today, when we talk about the Israeli alliance, we find that it mainly includes these countries: Cyprus, Greece, the United States, and India. But today we see European countries like France and Germany have clearly stated that they are ready to join this war against Iran. So the war, pay attention, is expanding very quickly, and at any moment another party could get involved. And each of these parties has a different pretext, a reason that makes them ready to intervene to fight Iran. But if there is any European intervention, we will definitely see a major world war in the region. These European countries like France and Germany, why do they want to overthrow the Iranian regime? They have a very strong desire to overthrow the Iranian regime. They really want this scenario to happen, because Iran is considered a partner of Russia, and it has provided significant military support to Russia in this war in Ukraine. The most important military support was in this context. For example, when Iran gave Russia the technology to manufacture Shahed drones, now they are produced locally in Russia in large numbers. And the major role these drones have played in this war in Ukraine. Today, Ukraine is suffering, and the Ukrainian army is suffering from these drones. So the Europeans also have major interests. They wish for the fall of this Iranian regime so that Russia loses one of its most important partners in this war in Ukraine. But despite that, the continuation of the war for days does not serve European interests at all. They also want to end the matter as soon as possible. Why? because oil and gas prices today are rising dramatically every day as a result of this war. Today, the price of a barrel of oil has reached more than $80. It hasn't reached this level for many months, and it got to this point in just a day or two. Moreover, with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz as well, many countries, including China and India, who buy large amounts of oil and gas today, are turning to Russia. This means that Russia will now make huge amounts of money from the continuation of this war. It's also strange that France and Germany said they are ready to participate in the process of toppling the Iranian regime. So we find that there is a European country, a member of NATO, with a different and truly brave opinion. This country is Spain. The Spanish newspaper El País confirmed today that Spain refused to support any American or Israeli military action against Iran, and absolutely refused the use of military bases on its territory in such an attack on Iran. Moreover, Spain expelled American refueling aircraft from its territory. This is a strong, very clear and courageous stance from Spain, a position that reinforces Spain's recent brave stances, such as during the Gaza war, for example. Also, what's new today is that China officially announced its support for Iran against this American-Israeli aggression. The new thing this time is that, for the first time, China has come out to clarify its position on this war officially. And it's clear that this stance may have been delayed. I mean, it was somewhat late. We're talking about almost 3 days after the start of this war, and we don't know the reason for this delay. Was it because China was concerned about the collapse of the Iranian regime? Was it waiting to make sure that the Iranian regime would hold out? Was it observing the situation, watching how the American attack would unfold? How the situation in the region would be? Or what? So the important thing is that Chinese support finally came today, after a phone call between the Chinese foreign minister and his Iranian counterpart. Today we have a strong message, a clear message from China, saying that it stands with Iran today. Also, we find the only country in the Middle East, the only country in the Islamic world, in all the countries of the Islamic world, that officially announced its condemnation and rejection of this American-Israeli aggression against Iran is Turkey. The Turkish President Erdogan is the only Islamic leader who publicly came out with a clear condemnation against this aggression. So now perhaps the map of alliances has started to take shape clearly. It has started to become clear. Today things are moving toward a very serious escalation, which may develop into a major war, because now we have entered a point of no return. America has entered this quagmire. They thought that toppling the Iranian regime would take just hours. They believed it would be very easy, that it would only require assassinating the political and military leaders, especially the Iranian supreme leader. They thought the Venezuela scenario would repeat itself and that Iran would surrender once the supreme leader was assassinated. But it's clear that Iran is holding strong to the point that it's now impossible to topple this regime. Here is the statement from retired American Colonel Daniel Davis. He said that the American military operation did not go according to the set plan. That means there was a plan and that plan failed. He said if Iran doesn't surrender in the next few days, America will face a historic predicament, and it will be forced to look for other ways to resolve the conflict. In plain terms, at that point they will ask Iran to return to the negotiating table, and then the agreement will be on Iran's terms. So what's certain today is that Trump is in a big predicament. All the reports, all the indications confirm that the collapse of the Iranian regime is impossible. Iran will not surrender and will not bow down even if the entire region is destroyed. It's clear that today it is fighting one of the fiercest wars ever, a war that will be recorded in all history books. That's all for now, dear viewers. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Peace be upon you and goodbye.